Now we come to a very important point. You may believe me or not when I tell you that the teacher is in actual fact close to you. Of value is only if you experience this closeness yourself. Brother Lawrence was not content with mere knowledge. With him, exercise was paramount. It was not enough for him to know that there is an omnipresent God. He wanted to live in God, with God, and in front of God, always visualizing the living God. And in this he practiced himself in all places, in the kitchen and in the cellar, in the church and in the chamber, on healthy days and among the most violent pain in diseases. And it was this exercise that made him so blessed. Your faith is dead unless it becomes an experience. Although living in the continuous presence of God is at first arduous, practiced with enduring loyalty, it produces miraculous effects in the depths of the soul. The faith becomes more alive and stronger in all situations of our lives, especially in distress, because through this practice we very easily gain the assistance of God's grace in all temptations and in the unavoidable contact with others. As the soul becomes accustomed to this practice of faith, it sees and feels through mere contemplation its God present, and therefore can appeal to him easily and strongly, and receive from him what it needs. And the further the soul progresses, the more alive becomes its faith. This faith grows so pervasive that the soul can say, I no longer believe, I see and experience. How can I make this experience? There is only one way. We must train, refine and sharpen our higher inner senses in order to feel the presence of the spirit of the teacher. I pass among them, and they see me not. Who is the helping one? Who is present? I sense thy touches. One of the most important statements of Helena Röhrig is, if one seriously devotes oneself to the service of light, one is never alone spiritually. In all moments of your life, learn to remember that you are watched continuously by the eagle eye and the flaming heart of the one who called you. Our gross body and the insufficient refinement of our senses are the only obstacles that prevent us from realizing His presence. Remember this. There are friendly or hostile beings in your environment, and you do not even notice them. If your organism and its higher organs, the centers or chakras, were just fine enough, you would be able to sense who or what is close to you and influences you and your life. Thus, firmly resolve to participate in our training program for the refining of your spiritual perception. you can learn to sharpen your inner senses, especially the feeling of the heart, so that they can grasp a non-material reality. Strengthen the awareness of our presence in your life. Invoke our power for your deeds. Many people sense this closeness. They experience that they really receive advice, comfort, help, and guidance. They feel the subtle reality that helpers, higher powers, are standing by their side. There is consolation in infinity and in the realization of the constant presence of the higher force. It is sad to see how they make a real experience and then immediately deny it, because their intellect is unable to fit it into their limited worldview. They do not dare to speak of an invisible living being and to call it father, teacher, or patron saint. Or they assume in vain self-aggrandizement that they have come into contact with God Himself. Just as important as the presence is to feel the absence of the teacher. There is little value in forcing you to worthy behavior by external prohibitions. The better way is to experience the overwhelming happiness when He is close to you, and the delusion about yourself when you are moving away from Him. Then discipline and self-control will no longer be threats, but purposeful means in order to reach the desired goal. You alone decide whether the Master is present and how close you get to Him. Let us go one step further. Not just your teacher is close to you, but many other subtle beings as well, with whom you are connected from your past existences in the material or in the subtle world. Especially your soul mates, your true brothers and sisters, your fellow disciples, with whom you are going to school with the same teacher. You form a supra-temporal family. Imagine the various levels of the subtle world around you like a house with several floors. The teacher stands above you. He lives and works one floor higher. Your classmates and co-workers are on the same level as you and are staying in the rooms next door. Your own disciples are living on the floor below you. In this world, you are not alone, but among true friends, embedded in a spiritual community. One day, when you will have refined yourself sufficiently, you will be able to sense the presence of your non-incarnated soulmates, relatives, friends, fellow disciples, and co-workers. You will be able to lead a conversation with them in spirit, as Christ did in His transfiguration with Moses and Elias. You will even be able to consciously work together with them. These helpers from the spiritual world will advise and assist you on projects that are approved by the hierarchy, as we had already discussed in the broadcasting on service to the common good. In this can be seen the participation of the subtle world. When the spirit chooses a definite task, it adapts itself to many assisting influences. Often there remain in the subtle world allies and co-workers who control the concomitant circumstances. Thus one can observe many scarcely perceptible impulses that lead to definite aims. Since entering the monastery, I regard God as the goal and end of all thoughts and desires of my soul. When I started my work in the kitchen, I said with childlike trust in God, "My God, as you are with me, and I, according to your order, must direct my mind to these outward things, I ask you for the grace that at the same time I may stay with you and communicate with you. For this to succeed better, my Lord, please do work together with me, accept my work, and possess all my desires." Thus, in the midst of my work, I continued in a confidential conversation with him, until, finally, through many and multifold exercises, I had reached such a state in which it is just as impossible for me not to think of God as it was, at first, difficult for me to get used to it. This exercise is the only way to stay in touch with your non-incarnated soulmates, the true eternal family to which you belong. We had already said, not only are you a disciple of a greater one, but on the descending line of the hierarchy, you yourself are a teacher for smaller ones. Among the subtle beings who cling to your heels and are constantly around you are therefore your own true, eternal disciples. These little brothers and sisters are your spiritual children. They look up to you. They admire you. They want to imitate you and learn from you how they can walk the earthly path in dignity. Do not disappoint them. You have to be a role model for them. Their presence should induce you to an exemplary behavior.